The Justice Department will be hosting a national conference this week looking into, among other things, the review of the Criminal Procedure Act. The objective of the conference is to look at progress that is made in the implementation of the Justice, Crime Prevention and Security 7-point plan. That is, of course, to promote integrated and modernized criminal justice system. It also allows for robust engagements on the criminal justice system and review of the Criminal Procedure Act of 1977. Of course, this comes a week after the Finance Minister announced an additional 628 million rand injected into the department to assist in making the prosecuting authority more effective. But we unpack this and many other issues this morning with Justice and Correctional Services Minister, Minister Ronald Lamola. Minister, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. I think let's start off with the conference that is coming up from the 27th of February, what you want to see having achieved by the end of it for yourself and for the department.
Good morning to you and also to the viewers at home. Indeed, we are hosting a very exciting conference to review the Criminal Procedure Act of 1977. Listeners will be aware that our criminal justice system, including methods of arrest, how people get through the whole criminal justice system, it's governed or anchored by the Criminal Procedure Act of 1977. The Act has since been amended on several occasions, but it is still not very compatible to the constitution of the country. Neither has it been designed or promulgated with the victim in mind. With the new dispensation of our constitutional democracy, we now have to modernize the Act, put the victim in the center of the criminal justice system, and also modernize the entire criminal justice system and also make it compatible with the Constitution. So the objective in mind is that as we emerge out of the conference, we will be emerging with recommendations and a draft bill that will be amending the Criminal Procedure Act that will enable us to modernize, will enable us to digitize the entire court infrastructure and be able to use some of the technologies that are emerging recently, the recent trends, which you will be aware. For example, a criminal trial, unlike it has to be done physically and in court, because witnesses, all of them have to be present in terms of the act, and also all those are things that we will be having experts, criminal procedure experts, community-based activists in the criminal justice system to make their inputs into the draft bill of the Criminal Procedure Act. Yeah,
and I want to stick with that quickly, and then we'll get into budgets and money allocations and really where your priorities are going to be where that's concerned. But I need to sit with this. I think one thing that a lot of South Africans can agree with is that the Senzo Mayiwa trial, certainly the trial within a trial, has taught us a lot about criminal procedures and how law enforcement deals with suspects. I mean, what is it that, in your view, we need to tighten up, and lessons from that trial, particularly around how we deal with self-incrimination and even allegations of torture that have been made by suspects?
Yeah, obviously we can't speak about the specific trial because it is still ongoing, and we will want it to have a life of its own. We will deal with the general recommendations that are coming out of the experts, and the South African Law Reform Commission has already made a wide-ranging recommendations related to the Criminal Procedure Act, and one of them is what I have referred to with regards to the witnesses, with regards to making the platforms digital and accessible in a manner that you can run a full-scale trial in a digital platform, and witnesses can testify from wherever. Those are some of the recommendations that are coming through, but also to deal with some of the challenging aspects of the Criminal Procedure Act, methods of arrest by the police, as you are aware, Section 59, related to issues of self-defense by the police and all that. So all the Act deals with everything related to what you have raised, but we will not be dealing specifically with the Senzo Mayiwa trial, but everything related to the Criminal Procedure Act.
Yeah, and understandably, of course, this is a policy discussion, so, I understand you're not wanting to focus on one particular case. Let's talk a little bit about some of the allocations that you received last week from the Finance Minister. 628 million rand having been allocated to your department. This is to implement some of the recommendations of the State Capture Commission. And that brings the total efforts there to 2.3 billion rand, also the implementation of the FATF. Talk to me about whether or not you feel that's sufficient, and just talk to us about timeframes. I mean, surely as a minister, when you get these allocations of over 600 million rand, bringing it to 2.3 billion, you're able to say, well, we've got the money, which means we've got the resources. Are they sufficient? That's the first question. And at what point do we say, all right, these are the targets that we set ourselves for when we're going to see prosecutions, convictions of state capture crimes?
Yeah, there will never be sufficient allocations, but we believe it is resources within which we can be able to share and make it work for the authorities and enable them to do what they are supposed to do, because they are supposed to focus on either prosecution and other issues of trust property control, which, as you are aware, are the ones that are related to the FATF recommendations, and also enable them to be able to appoint the necessary skills, forensic skills, skills related to human resource, and also enable them to appoint what we call the Section 38 senior and complex crime matters related to appointing senior counsels out there for the NPA. So all these resources, we believe, will enable them to deal with these complex matters that the investigative directorate deals with, particularly out of the recommendations of the Zondo Commission. And you will be aware, the president has already said that there is more than 200 accused persons in front of our courts in the court roll across the country related to state capture. So already the process of prosecution is underway. Ours is to support, enable them to do their job without any fear, favor, or prejudice, in line with the Constitution and the NPA Act.
Yeah, I mean, the issue of resources, particularly for the National Prosecuting Authority, is one that has kept us talking for a very long time. And perhaps we need to, zoom into a particular issue. There is, of course, the Nzebeza report that looked at certainly a section of the NPA that was tasked with investigating and looking into apartheid crimes as recommended by the TRC. This report recommending a commission of inquiry, but the report goes further. The commission of inquiry is to look into whether or not there has been political interference that has possibly slowed down the pace of apartheid-era prosecutions. I mean, what do you make of that very suggestion that there could be political interference when you are the Justice Minister yourself? I mean, is that something that concerns you at all?
Yeah, we are concerned by such, and we are currently studying the Nzebeza report. At the right time, we will be able to provide our response to the report, because we have just received it. We are working on that, and you should be aware that we have already provided resources. The 6th administration has provided huge amount of resources to the TRC unit, including appointing prosecutors and investigators across the country. Hence, you will have seen about 6 inquest cases, the ones of Timoli, the Imam in the Western Cape, the Smelane one, and recently the Credit 4 inquest. It's because of the resources that we have put, and there is clear political will to enable the law enforcement agencies, in particular the unit in the NPA, to handle these matters.
All right, Minister, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for speaking to us. We really do appreciate it, and we will catch up again as we, of course, get closer to that Justice and Correctional Services conference that you're holding on the implementation of the Integrated Criminal Justice System Program. That'll be from the 27th and the 28th of February. Right there, Minister for Justice and Correctional Services, Ronald Lamola, speaking to us.